How are you?
I'm doing well.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, same to you.
Thank you.
We're going to wait some time, but hey, welcome if you're an on the dot person tuning in.
Welcome.
Yes, this is our Facebook Live on Starting the Conversation. If you didn't know already, today is National Healthcare Decision Day. So we're going to talk a bit about that, but we're going to give people some time to log on. They may be out doing their Friday things, right, Patti?
Getting dinner in the oven.
Oh, if it's not in the crock pot early on,
That's it,
right?
that's
one of the decisions you have to make that has nothing to do with healthcare.
Nothing at all, but has to do with comfort.
Yes. So we're broadcasting live here from our Williamsport office. And are you happy for the weekend, Patti?
So ready for the weekend.
Yeah.
This felt like a long week.
Yeah, tax day's over.
It's here and gone, waiting for the next one.
Yeah, it's true.
The pushback. It's like having to have it twice.
I know, but things are changing. We're doing our stuff.
Coming out of the fog.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're all hoping for, I think.
Yeah, I think people, which is a good reason we're going to have this conversation today, we've experienced a lot in the last 12 to 15 months that was never expected. Changes for everyone. So
I think it's nice people will start to reconnect. I think these conversations and questions and all of the day-to-day life, people are going to start being in each other's lives again. So I think that's going to be a welcome respite to the past year.
Yes, I agree. And we're coming on warm weather, so even if there's another uptick, we can be outside.
Be at a picnic.
Yes.
We'll become picnic people.
Yeah, don't get me started on food on Friday. Oh, all right. Well, we're just going to wait for many people have registered. We're going to wait for people to come on, and as they come on,
Can jump right in.
we'll jump in. Yes. Yeah, so I think while we're waiting, just a couple of things. You can always look on our website. If you're listening to the re-up
The
on
rehash.
this. Yes. So I'll probably say it several times. PAElderlaw.com. Yes, exactly.
We need a jingle.
We do. There you go. We could sing. Well, no.
Well, no.
Singing is not good. But I think maybe we'll just get started.
Okay.
In a little bit here. So for those of you that are tuned in and do not know me, my name is Tammy Weber, and I'm the managing attorney here at Marshall, Parker & Weber. And I've been an attorney for over 35 years. Love what I do. Love estate planning, elder law, special needs planning, and the like. I grew up local to our Williamsport office in Muncie, Pennsylvania, the oldest of 6 children. So those of you who know me know probably a lot about that, and if you've heard me speak, a lot of the inspiration for my stories comes from my family. I went to school locally at Lycoming College here in Williamsport and moved to Philadelphia for law school, where I was for 18 years. My complete story is on our website again, PAElderlaw.com, and you can hear how I went from my prior career of being a federal prosecutor in Philadelphia to being a certified elder law attorney. And Patti, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm also a local girl. I've lived here all my life except for maybe 5 or 6 years down in Harrisburg. A graduate of Williamsport High School and a product of Lock Haven University. I've been with the firm 23 plus years, working on the next anniversary. I'm a case manager here, so I spend most of my time working directly with our clients. It's probably the best part of my job. Sweet, nice people, feels like extended family. You get to recognize a lot of your family in a lot of the clients, both good and bad. So it's a really nice way to be able to spend the day here at the firm. Tammy and I are both members of this group that for over 40 years has been doing elder law, which is kind of a really formal way of putting out there planning for the future, and helping people protect what they have and then get it to the people who they want to have it after they're gone.
Right, and our founding member, Jeff Marshall, started the firm. Our 41st anniversary is in May. His story is also on our homepage at paelderlaw.com.
Those are good stories to read.
Awesome stories, and
Yeah.
my other partner is Matthew Parker, who's been at the firm for 21 years. So we just had a nice anniversary for him last year, and he, like Patti and I, love what we do. So seeing that some other people are joining, Patti, did you know? This is a trick, and you better
Here we
know,
go.
yes, because this is what we're talking about. Today is National Healthcare Decision Day. So it was created back in 2008 by an attorney in Virginia, and he was really a healthcare lawyer, Nathan Kolkamp, and this is a national day. And so if you go on Facebook later and hit hashtag NHDD, you will see other things that are being posted, but he wanted to inspire people to be educated and empower any providers, whether they be healthcare or lawyers or someone that has a say if somebody needs a healthcare decision making. So it was started back, now 13 years ago. It's a pretty interesting concept, and I like it. There's a lot on the web these days. Some of it could be reliable and maybe some not. So, I'm interested in your take, Patti, on what the goal is really of the day.
The goal that feels most natural to me is that to get people talking, to help them have the conversation about healthcare decisions, whether they be day-to-day or the heavier end-of-life decisions. But nobody has been comfortable talking about that. So I think that's a big goal of the program, is to make this conversational and pull the curtain back, as it were.
Yeah, we talk to our clients about starting the conversation, and that can take many levels, but healthcare and advanced care planning is the big one for today. As Patti mentioned, I think she's been a case manager, and if you look at the title of our program today, she's also been a caregiver. So we're going to talk a little bit back and forth, if Patti's starting, about how you started the conversation, or how did things go with your family?
Best learning tool ever. This job / the parents, so that was a nice way to bridge those. In my mind, you have two types of people. You've got total control people, and you've got total denial people. Different approach for both, and I had one of each in my parents. My dad was a total control fella. So when these sticky decisions started coming up and he was needing some assistance in making them and running as an intermediary with the healthcare people, he was very specific. Here's what I want. This is how I want it. Call the doctor. He just really needed us to help relay that information. Very clear on the decisions. My mom is more of a total denial person, so those conversations are harder. It may stem from people just having trouble facing the hard decisions that they might have to make, and sometimes it's just an inability to express what those decisions might be. I think with people who don't like to talk about heavy things, that the side door approach is good.
Oh,
I
you
like
have a side door?
I do.
Okay.
My current side door is the Prince Philip passing and funeral. I'm sometimes amazed at the fact that every minute detail of his end of life and his services and where he wanted to be have been planned for years. So that's my side door with someone to go, can you believe that they talked about this 10 years ago? And what would you do if you were the queen? What would you want? It's a nice way to start that conversation without it being quite so personal. And I think it might have to happen in chunks.
Okay, yeah, good way to talk about it. I think we've had the superstitious clients as well. You know,
If you don't talk about it, it won't happen.
right, yeah, one of the things with our comprehensive approach here, when we're asking people to share their financial and their healthcare information, there's a reason for it, but we might get into what do you want when you pass on, or the end of your life, and what are your directions, and we hear, not talking about it,
No.
don't want to talk about it. My friend said, you know, when she started talking about what to do with her husband, he died of a heart attack the next day, so they're just not gonna do it. So you have the superstitious folks. The other suggestion that we can make, you know, if you're with us live today or looking at this at a later time, is, hey, I saw this Facebook email and I signed on and I watched this presentation by a couple of people at Marshall, Parker and Weber, and boy, it got me to thinking. And it was an easy way to start looking at things. And so that's one way to do it. I've also told audiences when I've been a speaker back when we were in person at various events, well, just go to your parents or your spouse or whoever your loved one is and said, hey, I saw this woman, Tammy Weber, talking, and she said, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then it's not, they aren't your words. It's like, do you agree with her? What can you say? The other thing that we have sometimes, we have a lot of things on our website.
We do.
Which I've mentioned already, palderlaw.com. There's a search box at the top, and we also have some downloadable things that we'll talk about later. But
good resources to help.
Yeah. You know, Patti, in your experience, do you think that the clients like information and checklists?
I think having a guideline just makes it feel like you have help getting through no one's going to sit at the table or on the couch with you, with your parents or your loved one. But if you know that you're not the first person to deal with these questions, and here are the things you might have forgotten, I think a checklist is a nice way to kind of, and it's an excuse to say to mom, oh, let's make sure we have all our bases covered.
Good. And you know, as we're talking here, if you have a question, feel free to, you know, type it in the comment box, and to the extent that we can, we'll answer those as we go along. We had received, you know, when we start this, sometimes people send questions and they'll go, what about this and what about that? One of them is, that we frequently hear, is, hey, I'm married, and so my spouse gets the right to answer and do things for me if
Right.
I can't. Right.
Right.
Yes. I have a story about that if we have time at the end. So, you know, the answer is not necessarily, and you may say, oh boy, that sounds like a lawyer answer. But here's how it goes. So, oh, and here's somebody who has a very similar question. Hi, Dana. She must have been reading my mind. Okay. So it says, I'm married with no children. My health care and financial decisions automatically go to my husband, right? I'm only in my 30s. So I started the answer to this, and the answer is not necessarily, Dana. Here's how it goes. So if you don't have a document, which is one of the reasons we're here today, you should think about them and get it in writing. There is a law in Pennsylvania called Act 169 that was passed in January of 2007 that says Here is, for lack of a better term, a pecking order. Dana, if you're not able to answer or speak for yourself to your physician and a healthcare decision needs to be made, they would look at whether you're married. And your spouse would be the first person to make those decisions. There's a however. Now, you're in your 30s, so I'm guessing that you don't have adult children from a prior relationship. That could be a miracle. But so if you were older and had adult children from a prior relationship, they would stand in the same shoes, right, Patti?
Yeah.
And this is the big thing that a lot of our clients are surprised about.
And it certainly sets things up for
Litigation.
I was going to say conversation,
Oh, okay.
but yes, then the litigation.
So if there was, for example, if you were a little bit older and you had 2 children from a prior relationship, whether it was a marriage or not, they could actually override your current spouse because it's the majority wins.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you don't want to have under this without a document. The other thing that this Act 169 says, and again, it's for healthcare decisions only, your spouse, your husband, would be making the decisions really like you would make, so that's why the communication and the conversation is very, very important. However, if you didn't have a document at the end of your life, you would be required to have hydration and tube feeding, which is something we don't like to talk about it, but it can really artificially prolong the process of your dying.
For a long time.
Yeah. On the flip side, the other part of your question is your financial decisions. Pennsylvania does not have an Act 169 equivalent for financial decision making. So for example, if you have a joint checking account or a savings account or joint assets with your spouse, you can go in and do things because you're a joint owner. But say your spouse had or you have a retirement account and something, heaven forbid, happened to you and needed to get money out of that. If you weren't competent, your husband couldn't just say, I'm the husband, I'm going to liquidate. The alternative without a financial power of attorney is a guardianship, which is getting a physician to say you don't have competency, going to a court in the county where you live, spending a few $1,000s, which is way more than planning ahead and getting a financial power of attorney is. So it's important that you have the discussion, and our theme today is start the conversation, and talk to your husband about that. I hope that answers your question, Dana. If not, type in something else, and as it comes up, we'll answer it. It's interesting along this line, one of the things we often see is who should that conversation be with? And if you're having it with your spouse or you're having it with your children and you have multiples and you don't choose all of them to be your agents, that can create a sticky situation.
It can.
So, sometimes the other thing we do, based on what our clients need, is have what we call a family meeting.
Meetings.
We suggest them, right?
Yeah, we're happy to serve in that role. Nice way to get the message from mom and dad to the children, all of the children. Sometimes just the realization that child number 1 was chosen and child number 2 was not, for a reason. Oh, you're better at money and you're squeamish about hospitals, and and sometimes there's very practical reasons. Oh, but you have 4 children, so we didn't want to put this burden on you, and letting them know that serving as an agent isn't really a prize. I mean, it's a wonderful service
Right.
you can offer to whomever you're doing it for, but don't feel badly if you got passed over for that responsibility.
And sometimes the spouses even get passed over. We've had many clients where the spouse says, I don't want to be him or her. They'll pull the plug like in a hot second. And sometimes I don't know if they're joking
or not.
until they sign off on their documents. Another thing that we have as a resource, and honestly, the first Facebook Live we ever did, so I'm dating myself, back in 2017, August, it's on our YouTube channel. It's called 10 Tips for Children of Aging Parents. So, Patty, we have a handout.
We have a coordinating handout.
Okay.
With the 10 tips, numbered little check boxes, very helpful.
So a retired staff member and I did this in 2017, and she spoke from both her caregiver for her parents and staying with her parents, and what are the things to look for. So if you find yourself as being, an adult child, or if you're a parent here and you want to know, what are my kids looking at, so that you could tune in and look at that YouTube video as well. Because we often hear, how do I get the conversation started with the elderly parents?
Yeah.
Okay, so Patty, if you were giving out something from our website to somebody, a client perhaps that were signing documents, and you said, here's this, I want you can help facilitate. Do you have a suggestion?
I do have two good starters,
Okay,
actually.
good.
There are a plethora of articles and information, so it may be something as easy as just checking out an article, reading it, but we have a really cool tool that you can download.
Did you mean to rhyme? Cool
No,
tool?
but it works, doesn't it?
It did work.
It does. It's called the Healthcare IQ test. It's a Q&A, so you, as the person who might end up being the patient, answers a series of questions about different scenarios, and if this happens, how would I want to be treated? And you document all your answers. Then you give the same booklet to the person who's going to make those decisions and let them answer the same questions, then compare. And if all your answers line up, you are in good shape. And if they don't, good time to iron out those.
Why you answered A and the other person said B.
Yes.
The other thing that we've heard, again, from doing this for a very long time, as unfortunately our clients pass on or have health crises, when we give them this IQ test, they often put it in their legal document binder, right, Patti?
They do.
So if there's an emergency and the children or the agent goes looking for that original document that tells them they have the authority to make the healthcare decision for the spouse or the parent or the loved one, a couple people have said, hey, I found this. And boy, did that give me peace of mind.
Peace of mind. It's
Yeah.
probably not going to help
It's
with the decision,
correct.
but it may go a long way towards, that's the hardest thing I've ever done. I hope I did it right. And then you see that I did. I did do what mom or dad wanted, and boy, there's no price you can put on
Okay.
peace of mind.
So, as you can tell, I haven't done this with questions for a while. I didn't know I had to be scrolling, so I apologize. So Lindsay has a question. She's getting married. Should she wait to do her documents? She has an aging mother. What should I do as an adult child of a healthy parent? We sort of answered that part,
We did
Patti.
touch on that.
And starting the conversation. So Patti, tell us a little bit about, what do you think? What should we say to Lindsay about getting married?
I think we say congratulations.
All right.
And should you wait to do your documents? There's really no need. The nice thing about these documents is, assuming you're going to name the same person now as you are after your marriage, you're naming an individual, not keying into a relationship. So you name who you're going to name. If your name changes, your address changes. Luckily, these documents don't have to be redone. And, unfortunately, the unforeseen can happen anytime, even before the wedding. So why wait? Have your bases covered ahead of time.
Sure. And now it looks like, let's see, Ashley has a question, which is, she and her husband are buying a home. Boy, everybody's doing good things these days. they're looking to have children. What documents should we be considering and when? Okay, so clearly the powers of attorney, the healthcare power of attorney with your philosophy on advanced care planning should be done. And it may or may not be each of you as the decision maker, but typically it is. And think about a backup person. And if you're thinking about having children, in addition to all the other conversations that you have about that, once they're born, there's a couple things that happen. So I hope everything goes swimmingly for you. But every once in a while, you want to have the great parent vacation where you leave the kids with the grandparents. And you go to Tahiti. And while you do have your cell phone, it might be a great day that you're on the beach and a little teeny accident might happen. You know,
Like a sliding board
a
kind of
slide,
accident.
exactly.
Sliding board
The
accident.
sliding board, and the grandparents have to take one of the kids to just get something fixed at the ER. So you want to have your parents, the grandparents, have an ability to do that. And so that's what's called a standby guardianship form. So when you go on vacation, it's just for a period of 30 days or less, here's who gets to make the decision. So that's one of the things. And then when you're doing your will, if you know you're going to have kids in the future, you can address, if both you and your husband have passed away, where the money goes. You don't have to have the kids next. You could just say to the children. But typically we want to talk about who would be in charge of that money for the children as well. So there are many articles on the website about that question as well. Okay. I'm reading a couple of these. Give me a minute. So there's a question from Bob about a financial calculator to enter data to evaluate financial options, including skilled nursing home costs. So this is sort of a combination. We're certified elder law attorneys. We're not certified financial planners, but yes, many financial planners do have a calculator to talk about finances. Every year, Pennsylvania lists and releases what the skilled nursing home costs were, the average cost in Pennsylvania, and of course it hasn't gone up for all the, I've gone down for all the years I've done this.
Never, not once.
No, it goes, now we're about $11,000 is the average per month. So you can do calculations, and the financial planners also have different programs that could be run, but I do urge people, if they're doing a holistic planning, which includes what we're talking about today, the National Healthcare Decision Day, to look into long-term care insurance and the different hybrid possibilities, because that determines if you have long-term care insurance and you can afford it during your lifetime, then you don't, it's one less outlier about how much money you'll need for your entire lifetime. So, so the question is, could you share a link to the healthcare IQ test? We can do this two ways. Dana, it looks like our administrator of the page says look at our resources and tools, so that's already been answered. And then, let's see, here we go. Okay, so I think I got all the questions so far, and I will be more tuned to looking at that, Patti, in the next few minutes. But as we've already mentioned, we have many articles on the website. Is there one you like the best, Patti, or?
My favorite is the 10 tips for starting the conversation.
Okay.
That's covers all the obvious and a couple of the things you didn't think of.
The not so obvious.
The not so.
Yeah, so the other thing that we have, in addition to the down on the resource page that is in the bar there to the left at paelderlaw.com, you can get the healthcare IQ test. We also have a guide for Pennsylvania healthcare agents.
This is a meaty document. Several pages.
Okay.
Yeah. Good information in here. If you're the person who's making these decisions for someone else, it's a big help to kind of help you navigate what you're going to have to do.
All right. The other thing I mentioned at the beginning, but I think we have a YouTube channel. So all of our past webinars,
They're fun.
are saved. So you could choose to subscribe, and when we add a new one, then you'll get an email so you know there's something new there. Some people don't like to subscribe, so you can always go to our website and type in whatever your subject area is that you're curious about, and a related webinar may come up, and then you can go to the YouTube channel. The other thing that we have, and we've been doing for a very long time, is we have a monthly newsletter called the Marshall Parker Weber Law Alert, and it's electronic, and it comes out the second Tuesday of every month, most of the time. Sometimes there's an exception. And there are 3 or 4 new articles with the hot news, so whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose and you want to receive that newsletter every month, you can either go to our website and request it, or you could send an email to webmail, WEBMAIL @PAElderlaw.com, and it looks like we have posted a link to go to the YouTube channel as well. We do not, I think many people are understandably concerned, if we get your email, what are we going to do with it? We do not share that email list with anyone, so you're not going to have telemarketers or anybody. It's just internal.
It's a nice blend. This
is.
happened at the courthouse, or this is state legislature, and then sometimes they're much more personal in nature, anecdotal. So it's a
Yes.
nice blend of information for you.
Yeah, and at the bottom of the newsletter are links to recent articles that may be of interest. So thank you so much for joining us all today. We really appreciated this opportunity. If you're on Facebook, as you are now, and you want to post a hashtag NHDD and link it to the Marshall Parker Weber Facebook, that would be great. We would love to work with you and have the conversation, right?
Start it.
So it's Friday night. If you're listening to this live, go.
Happy National Healthcare Decision Day.
You got it, Patty.
I got it.
All right. Take care.